Okay, so hopefully you can see. I really hope you can see. Doing the ones that I assigned. So if I have gone over it already, then you can fast forward to the ones that you need. First one, and I'll try to write as big as I can. First one was 59. 59 was 36a equals 45, and the trick for me, or the key thing here, is that instead of writing it like this, 45 divided by b, you actually write it as 45 over b. That, to me, helps a lot. So now we want to rewrite this equation so it looks like this. Well, in order to do that, we can cross multiply. If we cross multiply these two, let me put this over 1. If we cross multiply, we get 36ab, right? And 1 times 45 is 45. Now we can divide both sides by 36. And then, because this is a not multiple choice question, you have to actually put the answer in the little boxes, right? Pretty sure, I think you have to probably change this to a decimal. So let's simplify. If we divide this by 9, we get 5. Divide 36 by 9, we get 4. So that's the same thing as 1.25. And that's, so A, B is 1.25. Next one is 60. Okay, so ratios. So ratio, I like to write as a fraction. Sophomores is to juniors is 5-4, and they give us another one, juniors to seniors is 3-2. So I'll write it like this for now. And we want to know if there's 300 sophomore, how many seniors. So we want to know how many seniors there are. But the first clue that they give us is that there's 300 sophomores. Well, if there are 300 sophomores, and again, sophomores on the top, juniors at the bottom, right? So if we can write 300 over here, set up a portion again, and we're looking for the number of juniors, so we can just, this one is easy, right? Because we can find a relationship between 5 and 300, it's times 60. So at the bottom would be times 60. So we have 240 juniors. How is that going to help me? Because now I can set up another proportion over here. I know that there are 240 juniors, so over here, this is juniors and this is seniors. I'm going to write 240, right? And I can use, again, find a relationship, that multiplier, it's times 80. And at the bottom would be times 80, which gives me 160. And that's the answer to number 60. 61. A class might select, so again, this is what we talked about, combinations of permutations. You must select a president, a vice president, a treasurer among 10 students. So this is definitely a permutation because order does matter, right? So it's a permutation of what? There's 10 people arranged into 3 different ways. So remember, permutation, it's 10 factorial over 10 minus 3 factorial, right? Or you can obviously find a shortcut here, and this one would have been just 10 times 9 times 8, which equals to 720. 62. Well, a squared equals negative 2a. Right? And we want to find the value of b. What does b equal? And we know that a times b is 18. So those are the 3 things. So now, from this, you have to figure out what a is. So the trick here, okay, is to, for me at least, is to rewrite a squared as a times a. That's what a squared is, right? Now, the other side we don't do anything, but now I have, what I can do is divide both sides by a. So if I divide the left side by a and divide the right side by a, this a and one of the a's on the numerator and one of the a and the only a in the denominator can simplify to 1. I'm left with 1a. On the other side, these 2 a's can simplify again to 1, right? And negative 2 times 1 is just negative 2. And that gives me, look at that, what a is. Now if I know what a is, I can go to this equation where it says a times b equals 18, let me replace a with negative 2. Well, that literally says negative 2 times what number is 18? Well, what must be the value of b in order for this to equal 18? Well, the only thing that multiplied by 2 is, to 18 is 9, but careful, has to be negative 9, right? Because a negative times a negative is a positive. So the answer to that would have been 62 would have been negative 9. 64 so we have a runner record his time on the 400-meter dash. If the range of his time is 9 seconds and one of his times 58, then which of the following cannot be one of his times? This one's a tricky question because it says he ran several times, right? And one of his times was 58 seconds, but it doesn't tell me what 58 seconds is. Was 58 the fastest time? Was 58 the slowest time? So we don't really know what that is. So that's the problem here. So what you can do is, let's assume that 58 is the slowest time. It's 58. If I assume that 58 is the slowest time, right, knowing that the range is 9, that means that his fastest time is 67, right? Now, let's assume the opposite. Let's assume 58 is his fastest time. If 58 is his fastest time, well, in this case we subtract 9, right? Because we want to find the slowest time. And if 58 was his fastest time, we subtract 9, that means that his slowest time was 49. So now this is what you work with, right? Given this information. So this is your fastest, right? This is your slowest. So now which of these three numbers here does not, it's not between 67 and 49? Well, it's 48. That's a tricky question, really. 65 is a unit rate question, right? It's just a unit rate question. So $1 says that $1 is 0.96 K. I'm just going to write K. And they also tell you that $1 is 0.64 F. I'm not even going to pronounce that. So now what is one? How many clurbs equals one? How many flour? So this is what we're looking for. So we know that one, so we can say that 96K, or I'll say it, clurbs, is the same as 0.64 flours. But that's not what the question is saying. The question is, what about when it's one flour? Well, set up your proportion again, right? We want to find the unit rate. So I want to know how many K's is equal when this is one flour. So when you have one flour, how many clurbs will you need? Well, you can cross multiply, right? Over here, this is X. If you want to cross multiply, that's fine. Now, or the same thing, how do I get this? How do I get 0.64 to be 1? Well, you divide by 0.64, which means I have to divide the top by 0.64. If you cross multiplied, let's cross multiply, you would have gotten X times 0.64, X, let me say it, 0.64X equals, and 0.96 times 1 is 0.96. You're going to divide both sides by 0.64, right? So X equals, and the unit, so X, which is our K, is 0.96 divided by 0.64, and that equals 1.5, which gives us the, so when you have one flour, you get 1.5 clurbs. I don't know why they have to make the names so weird. 65, we just did. 67. So the question is here, what fraction of plant species in region A are parasitic? So we're not looking at this. We're looking at here. What fraction is parasitic? Well, parasitic is this guy over here. So 0.337 out of a total of 100 is parasitic. But if you look at your multiple choice, none of your multiple choice has a decimal in your, let me just bring it up, has a decimal in your numerator, right? So we need to rewrite this so it looks like one of these four, right? So 0.337 over 100, which is the correct answer, but they just want you to rewrite that so that there are no decimals in the numerator. Well, how do we get rid of the decimal here? Well, if we multiply this by 1,000, right? Because 1, 2, 3, this is in thousandth place. So if you multiply 337 times 1,000, sorry, 0.337 times 1,000, you end up moving the decimal 3 spaces to the right. So that becomes 337. And if you multiply 100, if you multiply the top by 1,000, you have to multiply the bottom by 1,000. And at the bottom you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. So is there anything that looks like this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. There you go. Answer is D. '68. Again, if you know the area of a trapezoid, makes life easier. If you don't, you can break up this. So if you know the area of a trapezoid, it's height times base 1, base 2 divided by 2, right? So the height, right, the height is 8. Base 1 doesn't matter if you call it 410, it's 4. Base 2 is 10 divided by 2. That's it. So 8 times 4 times 10 is 40. You're going to multiply that by, 8 plus 4, apologies, 4 plus 10. So in the parentheses, we got 14. So it's 8 times 14 divided by 2. Well, let's simplify. You can simplify this to a 4, and 4 times 14 is easily 56. So the area of this is 56. If you don't remember the area of a trapezoid, you could have cut that in half. Find the area of this rectangle, 8 times 4, which is 32. Now, this is 4. If that's 4 and this whole thing was 10, means this is 6. Now we have a triangle. Triangle is base times height divided by 2. The base was 6. The height was 8. Divide that by 2. 48 divided by 2. What's 48 divided by 2? 24. Right, so here's your area of a triangle. And if you add 32 and 24, you also get 56. No, 70 was the next one. All right, so for this, right, how many integer values of a will allow the expression above to be an integer? So we want our answer to be an integer, right? So remember what integers are, your whole numbers, right? And also their negative counterparts. So I need this answer to equal an integer. Now we have numbers from, it says here, a is a number starting from 1 all the way to 7. Equal, right? It can be equal to 7 and 1. So no tricks here. You just gotta literally substitute 1 in here. So if you put 1 in here, you get 2 times 1 minus 6 over 1 plus 3. Well, 2 times 1 is 2, minus 6 is negative 3, and 1 plus 3 is 4. That is not an integer, so 1 doesn't work. 2 times 2 minus 6, 2 plus 3. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 6 is negative 2 over 5. That also doesn't work. 3, does 3 work? 2 times 3 minus 6, and 3 plus 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. And 3 plus 3 is 6. What's 0 divided by 6 is 0. Is that an integer? Yeah, so 3 works. I'll put a little check mark there. Does 4 work? 2 times 4 minus 6 and 4 plus 3. It's not, because that's 8 minus 6 is 2 over 7. Does not work. 6. Oh, I forgot the 5. Sorry, there's a 5 in here. 2 times 5 minus 6 and 5 plus 3. 2 times 5 is 10. You get 3 over 8. That doesn't work. 6. 2 times 6 minus 6 and 6 plus 3. Does that work? I think I made a mistake. But this doesn't work. 12 minus 6 is 6. 6 over 9. that doesn't work. The mistake was my number 1. So 6 doesn't work, 7 is not going to work. Well, let's go back to 1, sorry. It's 2 times 1 minus 6 over 1 plus 3. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 6, sorry, is negative 4. 1 plus 3 is 4, and that gives me negative 1. Is negative 1 an integer? Yes. So the answer to this is, out of the numbers from 1 to 7, 2 of them work, the 1 and the 3. And I think the tricky part was not, this one was the 3. Okay, so you had to know that 0 over anything divided, if you divide 0 by any number, you'll get a 0. Okay. 71. We want to substitute x squared was negative 5. And if it's negative, I always put it in parentheses. So, order of operations, 3 times 25. This is negative 4 times negative 5, which gives me positive 20 plus 2. This is 75 plus 20 plus 2, and I think this is 97. $72. Let me just raise it up. Use a ruler, gets it to be 4.4. However, the student learns that the ruler is imprecise and all lengths are within 10.10 of the measured length. Okay, what is the maximum actual length of those? Well, so if you measured 4.4, right, we're looking for the max, it's going to be on the 10% greater than this, right? So it's going to be 10% greater than whatever the number is. So what's 10%? So you can do 4.4, right? And you want to know what's 10%, what's up 10%, what's the number above 4.4 that is 10% above. So it'd be, you can take 10% of 4. Apologies. You can take 4.4, multiply by 0.1 or 0.10, sorry, 0.1, which is 10%, right? And then add it to 4.4. So if you do that, you got 2 decimals. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 4 is 4 again, 0.44, and you add this to this, right, to the what you had measured, and you get 4.84. If you wanted to do 4.4 times 1.1, that also would have given you, so if you do it this way, right, you do it in 1 step as opposed to doing it in 2 steps, where you find what 10% is and then you add it to the original value, whereas this will give you the answer in 1 step. Okay. 72, 74. Okay. Nancy's going on vacation. She has 12 shirts. She must pack 3. How many different sets? So this is a combination, right? Order doesn't matter. So for this one, we have 12 and 3, right? So we can do this. So 12 factorial would be 12 times 11 times 10. We're going down 3, remember? And then 3 times 2 times 1, right? So if you do the shortcut, or if you want to do n factorial, r factorial, and then I believe it was n minus r factorial, you could have done that. But I think once we worked out the shortcut, much easier. So now we can simplify. This becomes 5. This becomes 4. Now we have 11 times 20. 220. So 74 is F. 75. Okay, so when we did HY, I don't know if sorry, I keep forgetting. When we did H problems in class, I always asked you guys to set up a table. So here's Eric, and here's Alan, right? So the information that I have right now is that Eric at the moment, and I'll write now. Right now, Eric is 22. Okay, we don't know what Alan is, so we'll call him X. And then the problem talked about 5 years from now, so I'll put a little plus 5 here. So in 5 years, Eric will be 27, and Alan would be X plus 5, whatever he is today, plus 5. Now, that's my setup. Now, after I do this, I go back to the problem, and I set up an equation based on the information that they give me. It says in 5 years, Eric will be 3 times Alan. Well, what is Alan in 5? Sorry, what is Eric in 5 years? And Eric in 5 years is 27, so I can replace that with 27. 3 times whatever Alan is 5 years from now, x plus 5. And that's my little equation. So 27 equals 3x plus 15 minus 15 on both sides. We get 3x equals 12 and divide both sides by 3. X equals 4. So Alan is 4 years old. 76. I actually remember doing this. This was a little complicated. So 76. We need to, and again, I need to, to organize the data. It's just too much information. Okay, so we have 2 types of children. Those who take the bus, those who walk, and take the bus. Okay? On a particular day, of all the students who walk to school, 30% are absent. Of all the students who walk to school, 30% are absent. So %30 are absent. And 75% of the school, of the students who take the bus are present. If 40% of the students take the 75% of the students who took the bus were present. 75 took the bus were present. If 40% of the students take the bus to school, what % of the students were present that day? Oh, I have to look up, hang on a second. 40% of students take the bus to school. What's here in the class? If 30% are absent, 70% are present, right? If 75% of the bus who took the, and 75% of the students who took the bus were present, which means 25% were absent. Agreed? 40% of the students take the bus. I forgot how I did this. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to work on it because I don't remember. There was, hang on a second. Wait a second. This is still walk. This is take the bus. Take the bus to school. Okay, particularly of all the students who walk to school, 30 are absent, so 70% are present. 75% of the students who took the bus were present, which means 25% were absent. 40% of the students take the bus to school, so this is 40% of the bus take the bus, which means 60% walk, right? What % of the students were present at that day? So 75% of 40% were present, 70% of 60% were present. So we get 40% of the 75% kids who were present. Sorry. Apologies, it's the other way. So taking the bus, 75% of the 40% who take the bus were present, plus 70% of the 60% who were present. Okay, so let's do 75. So let's do 0.75, 0.75. This is 0.3, and this 0.7 times 0.6, this is 0.42, and 0.3 plus 0.42 equals 0.72. So there we go. 72%, 76. I knew. When I did this problem, it gave me a little bit of a headache. Nice problem, but again, the table I think is very important to organize the data. Okay. 76, 78. The number line above shows the solution to which of the following inequalities. So the problem here is that you have to get rid of the 2, the denominator, the 2 here, and the numerator, right? And see which one it is. So let's start with E. Negative 2 less than y over 2 less than 4. So to get rid of that 2, this is a compound inequality, right? So all you gotta do is multiply everybody by 2. So if I multiply this guy by 2, multiply this guy by 2, multiply that by 2, the y is by itself. So I get negative 4 less or equal to y less or equal to 8. Now, this is definitely not represented by that number line, so E is gone. Repeat the same process with F. Negative 2 less or equal to 2y less or equal to 4. Now this one you divide by 2, right? Because if you want to isolate the variable y, we're going to divide this by 2, which means I divide this by 2, divide this by 2. So this is negative 1, this is y, and this is 2. This, again, not represented by this. So that's also gone. G, negative 4 less or equal to y, divided by 2 less or equal to 2. So this one, we multiply everybody by 2, right? To isolate y, multiply by 2, multiply by 2, multiply by 2. So you can already tell that this is also not represented by this number line. So it looks like it's H. Well, let's just make sure. Negative 4, 2y less or equal to 2. So this one we have to divide by 2 to isolate our variable. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Less or equal to y, because that gets simplified, and 2 divided by 2 is 1 there. Sorry. Negative 2 less or equal to y, less or equal to 1 is that one, right? Y is any value between negative 2 and 1 inclusive. 81. Got it. 81. It's a solid, a rectangular solid, so something like this. And it says the height is 7, the width is twice the length. So we don't know the length, so let's call it x, but I know the width is 2x. So what is the width of the solid? So remember, volume equals length times width times height. We have the volume, which is 350. The length is x, the width is 2x, and the height is 7. Okay, so 350 equals x times 2x. Sorry, let's do the coefficients first. 2 times 7 is 14, and x times x is x squared. Okay, well, let's divide both sides by 14. We get x squared equals 350 divided by 14 equals 25. How do I get rid of that exponent of 2? You take the square root of both sides. X equals plus or minus 5. Obviously, minus 5 is not the right answer, but plus 5 is definitely. So x is 5. And we want, what is it? What is the width of the solid? So if x is 5, the width is 2 times 5, which is 10. So final answer, D. That's 81. Next one was 83. So 2/3. So on Tuesday, 2/3 of this ice called X melted, and then on Wednesday, half of the remaining ice melted. So on Wednesday, half of this melted. Okay. If the block of ice measured weighed 60 pounds, how much did it weigh in pounds at the beginning? At the beginning of the day on Tuesday. Okay, hang on a second. If the block of ice then weighed 60 pounds, let's give that at 60. We can, so half. So if you work, try to make this in a way that we can. So 2/3 of X, right? 2/3 of X. On Tuesday, 2/3 of a quantity that I don't know melted. And then on Wednesday, half of this quantity melted. And what do you have left over? They said that the block of ice that then weighed 60. So that's what you have left over, and that's your equation. Let's, solve this. Half times 2/3, we can simplify, right? The 2 and the 2, we get 1/3 of X equals 60. Multiply both sides by 3, and X equals 180. Hang on a second, something's not. If I take half of, hang on, so I got 180. Let's see if that works. If I take 2/3 of 180, I get 60 left. No, that 180 is not correct. So, what am I doing here? Ignore what I just said. What you can do here is just work with your multiple choice. I think I don't know what I did wrong, but let's do it the second way. Let's take 2/3 of 480. 2/3 of 480. If you take 2/3 of 480, right? You got 320. So we get 320. So we have 160 left, right? 2/3 of 480 is 320. And if you do 480 minus 320, it means that you have 160 pounds of ice left. On Wednesday, if you take half of 160, you have 80 left. So is that the correct answer? No, because we need to have 60 left. So A is out. B, take 2/3 of 450. 2/3 of 450 is 300. 450 minus 300 means that you have 150 pounds of ice left. On Wednesday, half of 150 melted, and you have 75 left. Is that what it is? No, you need 60. Let's try C. 2/3 of 360 melted. What's 2/3 of 360? It's 240, right? So 360 original minus the 230 that melted, you have 120 left over. So on Tuesday, half of 120 melted. And if you take half of 120, you get 60. And that's what we wanted. So the correct answer is C. I wonder what I did wrong before, but I'll get back to that. 84. 84 is just all simplifying. So they're asking us what to simplify the expression. So we can simplify this, and this can go away. This and this can go away, right? So I'm left literally with A over B times A. So A squared over B. Final answer is F. I don't know what they wanted out of this question. That's 84. $87 was next. Okay, so we have a class with 25 students, 5 who are wearing black sneakers. So what's if 2 selected are brown? What is the probability that both students will wear? So we want the probability of black followed by another black sneaker, right? So probability of selecting the first kid that is wearing a black sneaker is 5 out of 25. So let's take that student and put him over here. So we selected him and he's wearing black sneakers, right? We take him out of the class, put him outside. Then we go back to the class and I want to select another kid who's wearing black sneaker. Well, this one kid's sitting outside. We put him outside the class. So when we come back to the class, well, there are now 24 kids in the class. And instead of 5 kids who are wearing black sneakers, there's only 4 because the one that we selected before, he's outside, right? So multiply, this is 1 over 5. This is 1 over 6, and our answer is 1 over 24. Oops. What is wrong here? One over 30. Hang on a second. What did I do wrong? Oh, sorry. This is 1. 5 over 25 is 1 over 5. So this is 1 over 30. Sorry, I simplified incorrectly. So our answer is 1 over 30. So the probability of selecting 2 kids who are wearing black sneakers is 1 over 30. 84, 87. 87? 88, sorry. So if A equals 2B plus 1, in terms of B, what's the value of 4A minus 5? What do we do here? So let's see if I can. No. Oh, so all we have to do is substitute. So 4A minus 5, I'm sorry. So we know that A is 2B plus 1. Plug it in here. 4 parentheses 2B plus 1 minus 5. Distributive property. 8B plus 4 minus 5. And then 8B minus 1. Right? Like terms, 8B minus 1 is H. Next is 89. Okay, on the number line above A to B, so the distance from A to B is 1/6. Which of the following is a possible value of X? So notice they're all in decimal format. So if that's 3 and 7/12, if you subtract this, you will get A, right? They're telling you that the distance from here to here is 1/6. Right, so let's do that. 3/7 over 12, let's change that to 12, we get 2. And 3/5 over 12, so A is 3 and 5/12, so that's important. Now that you know that, well, I guess the other thing you should do is change 5 over 12 and 7 over 12 into decimal. So let's do 12 divided by 5, 0.6. So this is 3.6. Sorry, what am I doing here? Oh, apologies. So 5 goes to 12 2 times. What am I doing? Sorry. That's 10, 20. Bring a 0 down. 4. So that's okay. So 3 and 5/10 is 3.24. And Mr. Cho is going a little weird. Apologies, guys. That's correct. What I did wrong here is dividing correctly. Oh, Jesus, okay. So that's wrong. So 12 doesn't go into 5. 12 goes to 54 times, which is 48. 2 left over. Let's bring another 0 down. 12 goes into 20. 1 time, which is 12. We have 8 left over. Bring another 0 down. 12 goes into 80. 6 times, which is 72. And then, so let's write 3 and 5 over 12 as 3.416. Repeat it. Okay. And 3 and 7 twelfths. So it's 12 divided by 7. Oh my God. 7 goes to 12 one time. No. Sorry, guys. Alright, so I'm a little bit off. Wow. So let me write this again. It's 7 divided by 12. Doesn't go in. 7 goes to 70. 5 times, which is 60. 100. 7 goes to 100 8 times, which is 96. 4 left over. 12 goes to 40 3 times, which is 36. So let's just write 3.583. So that's our number line. Ooh, apologies for making a mess out of here. Now, what do you think? Is it A? Well, A can't be, right? Because A is even lower than this A, so that's gone. 3.614 is gone, it's too high. 3.584 is also too high, so that's gone. So the only answer that's possible is B. Sorry, made a mess out of the division. Jesus. 80, what is that? 89, 90. So 20% of the kids what do they do? These, if 20% is only 20% science, physics, 25% chemistry, and the rest, which is this is 20, 40, 55%, only biology. What is the, okay, so what is the smallest number of students could be studying biology? So if you set up a proportion here, you can write 55% over 100, and if you try, we're going to try each of the 4. So if you say that 55% of the students, let me write, it's 100% part, so that you don't forget total. If we say that 55% equals 4 students, well, what is the total number of students in the school? Well, It's not going to work out because this number at the bottom, it's not going to be a whole number. Okay? You can cross multiply and see for yourself, but it's not going to work out. Right? That proportion is not going to be, these two ratios are not going to be proportionate. Because there's nothing divided by 55 that gives you 4. Okay? Nicely. We put a 9 here, also won't work out. Nothing divided by 55, nothing exact, I should say, divided by 55 is going to give you a 90. And then therefore, if you divide by that same non-exact number, right, that bottom also will not work out. So try 11. If you say that 11 kids are the kids are taking biology and they represent 55% of everyone, well, this one is nice because 55 I can go and divide by 5, and this I can divide by 5. And 100 divided by 5 is 20. So that one works. So the only possible answer to this one is G. Okay? What the heck? 90, 92. All right, not too many left. Now I have a number line ratio. It says that in the number line above, AB, the ratio of AB to BC to CD is 3 to 8 to 1, right? And we can add one more, and this is where it might help here. We know that the distance, okay, that's the ratio, right? So the total here is what? 3, 8 plus 1, and that gives me 12. The actual distance, right? So we want the value of BD, so BC, CD. So that's the ratio, but what's the actual distance from A to D? Well, from negative 17 to 17 is 7 and 17, which is 24, right? So here we can use and find a relationship, right? Times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2, and that's going to give us 6, 16, and 2. So AB currently is 16, BC is 16, and CD is 2. So what's the value of BD? Well, 18. Um, 92, 93. 93, if P equals 5, Q is 9, oh my God, then, right, so 3 times P, which is 5, minus 2 times P, which is 5, and Q is negative 4. 3 times 5 is 15. Well, this is going to be a positive, right, because we have 2 negatives, and 2 times 5 is 10, 10 times 5 is 40. Oops, did I do something wrong? 10, sorry, I can't multiply. 2 times 5 is 10. No, that's right, 40. And then 15 plus 40 is 55. Jeez. Good thing I'm on vacation. 99. Ines ran Y miles. She ran Y miles. Darcy. Oops. Ines and Darcy ran, so Ines and Darcy together ran 3Y plus 7. How many miles did Darcy run? Well, if together they ran 3Y plus 7, right? Well, and you subtract Ines from that, you're gonna get what Darcy ran, right? So 3Y, sorry, let me put the like terms together, plus 7, so it's just 2Y plus 7. So Darcy ran 2Y plus 7. There. 101. Ooh, this one's a pain in the knee. All right, so figure above two circles have radii of A and B. If A equals 1/3 of B and the sum of the circumference of the two circles is 64 pi, what is the value of B? Hang on a second. Okay, so circumference is pi times d, or if you want to use circumference, is 2 times pi times the radius. So A, so let's do this first, is 2 times pi, and the radius of A is 1/3 B. So let's call this 1/3 B, and B is just B. So 2 times 1/3 B. And we're gonna get, we multiply 2 times 1/3, we get 2/3 pi B. So that's the circumference of the first circle. The circumference of the second circle is C equals 2 times pi times the radius. C equals 2 times pi times the radius, which is B, and we get 2 pi B. Okay, so we know the circumference of both circles. Now we know that the sum of those two is 64 pi round. So 2/3 pi B plus 2 pi B equals 64 pi. Let's add these two. 2/3 plus 2, this just equals to 2 and 2/3 pi B equals 64 pi, right? I think it's easier if you change that to a improper fraction, which is what I'm going to do. 3 times 2 is 6, so this becomes 8/3 pi B equals 64 pi. We're getting there. We can divide both sides by pi, or literally we can cross this pi out and cross that pi out, cross 1 pi from each side. So now we have 8/3 B equals 64, right? And we can multiply both sides by 3/8 to isolate our variable. This and this, this and this all simplifies to 1, which isolates my variable. And on this side, 64 divided by 8 is 8 times 3, we get 24. So the value of B is 24. That's a good question. Just a lot of work, a lot of time consuming, unless you can find a faster way. 104, why did I choose 104? So we have 1 meter, so again, another ratio problem. 1 meter equals, 1 meter is 3.281 feet. How many feet are in 4.4 kilometers? So we can change the 4.4 kilometers. That is 4,000. So let me continue my proportion here and write meters over here and feet. Problem is, I can't put 4.4 over here because it's not in meters, it's in kilometers. So 4.4 kilometers is the same thing as 4,400 meters, right? Remember, 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So 4.4 kilometers would give us 4,400 meters. Now, I can put that information here, right? After I change it to meters and put that. So cross multiply, x equals, and 3.281 feet times 4,400 equals, it's either going to be F or H, right? So 4,400 times 3.281, it's 14436.4. So H, 104 is H. 105 105 is the surface area of the prism, excluding the triangular bases. So it's equilateral, so that means that this, and this, all those sides measure the same thing. Okay? The perimeter of the triangle is 18, so we have a, right? This, and this are all equal. If the perimeter is 18, that means that each side is 6. So I can come back here and put 6, 6, and 6. So that side is 6, this is 6, and that's 6. So what is the surface area? Well, that's 6, and AB, this line here, is 9, right? We have actually 1 in the back, 1 at the bottom, and 1 on the side. We have 3 exact rectangles where these are all 6s and these are all 9s. We want the area? Yeah, we want surface area. So the area of that rectangle in the back is 54. The area of this rectangle, the ramp coming down, is 54, and the area of this rectangle at the bottom right here is 54. So 54 times 3 equals 162. C. 105. 107. Similar triangles, right? We have at 4 p.m. there's a guy who's 6 foot tall, and he has a shadow. It's 10 feet. How long would a shadow? So again, if put that over here. How long would the shadow of a 15-foot tall lamp post? So if you have a lamp post that's 15 foot, right? Lamp. How long is the shadow? We can call that x. So we can set a proportion, right? Similar. So we can say that the ratio of the man and the height of the lamp is equal to the shadow of the man, which we know is 10, to the shadow of the lamp post. Cross multiply, 6x equals, what is that? 150. Divide both sides by 6. X equals 25. 108. What is the least positive value for A if B and C and D are positive integers? Okay. Well, this is another one where actually just plugging it in would probably be the easiest. So let's say A is 50. So if A is 50, that means that B would be 5, right? And then if you take that, and we know that B is 5, we can, substitute here. We get 10 times 5 equals 7c. 10 times 5 is 50, and 7c. So to find c, we would divide both sides by 7, and we would not get an integer. So E does not work. Let's try F. If A is 70, we get the equation A equals 10b. Divide both sides by 10, we get B equals 7. So that works. So let's use that for the following equation, 10b equals 7c to find c. So let's replace b with 7. 10 times 7 equals 7c. 70 equals 70c. Divide both sides by 7, and we get c equals 10. So that so far is good. So let's use that for the last equation. We get 7c equals 5d. 7 times, and c we found out is 10, equals 5d. Obviously this is going to work. Divide both sides by 5. Sorry. We write 70. Divide both sides by 5. And d equals 14. So our answer here is, looks like it's F. Okay. Uh-oh, battery. Let me just charge here. Need a lot of stamina to do this for an hour and a half, right? So, 109. So 109, again, it really depends on how, if you remember the rules for exponents, laws of exponents. So if you remember from what we did earlier, these bases are the same. If bases are the same in division, we can just subtract the exponents, and this is just 5 to the second power. If you don't like that one, then you like to write it like this. And again, this is where expanding helps you understand as opposed to just memorize. So if you did that and you expand this out, you get 15 times 15 times 15 times 15 times 15 over 15 times 15 times 15. Well, this and this can simplify, this and this can simplify, this and this can simplify. You're left with this, which is 15 times 15. They leave your answer in exponential form, so 15 times 15 is the same thing as this. So, there. Okay. You didn't need to know the laws of exponents. Maybe you, but you did, I think, need to know this and expand it out. That would have helped. Okay. 11, last one. What's angle C? Well, it's a triangle. A triangle, sum of all the angles is 180. We know one of them is 90, right? Right here. It tells us, right? It's 9 degrees. So we're left with 90. It's an isosceles triangle, right? If isosceles triangle, these two angles are the same. So this is 45, and that's 45 because 90 divided by 2 is 45. So there. That's it. Sorry the video was too long. Sorry I made quite a few mistakes, but hopefully if you still have questions, let me know next time I see you.